Why inflation won't go away. Prices keep rising, and for most people, it feels like everything is getting more expensive at the same time. Groceries, rent, fuel, and even basic services now cost significantly more than they did just a few years ago. What makes this even more frustrating is that once prices go up, they rarely come back down. Instead, they either stay high or continue increasing slowly over time. This creates a sense that inflation is not just temporary, but something more permanent. And that raises a critical question that many people are starting to ask. Why does inflation seem like it never truly goes away? Inflation is the rate at which the general level of prices for goods and services increases over time, reducing the purchasing power of money. In simple terms, it means that the same amount of money buys fewer things than it used to. While a small amount of inflation is considered normal in a growing economy, problems begin when inflation rises too quickly or stays elevated for long periods. This erodes savings, increases living costs, and creates financial pressure for households and businesses alike. Inflation can begin for several reasons, but one of the most common is an imbalance between supply and demand. When demand for goods and services increases faster than supply can keep up, prices begin to rise. This can happen during periods of economic recovery, when people start spending more, or when production is disrupted. Over time, these imbalances push prices upward across multiple sectors, creating a broader inflationary effect. Another key driver of inflation is the supply of money in the economy. When more money is introduced into the system, whether through stimulus programs or monetary policy, people and businesses have more spending power. If this increase in money is not matched by an increase in goods and services, prices begin to rise. This is one of the reasons why inflation often follows periods of aggressive economic support. Central banks, such as the Federal Reserve, play a crucial role in managing inflation. They use tools like interest rates to control how much money flows through the economy. When inflation rises too quickly, they may increase interest rates to slow down spending and borrowing. However, these actions often take time to have an effect, and they can also slow economic growth. One of the most important things to understand about inflation is that prices rarely go back down once they have increased. Businesses adjust their pricing to maintain profit margins, and wages often rise alongside prices. Once these changes are built into the system, reversing them becomes difficult. This is why inflation tends to feel permanent, even after the initial causes have faded. As prices rise, workers demand higher wages to maintain their standard of living. While this can help individuals in the short term, it can also create a cycle where businesses raise prices further to cover higher labor costs. This process, often referred to as a wage price cycle, can make inflation more persistent and harder to control. Inflation is not only influenced by domestic conditions, but also by global factors. Supply chain disruptions, geopolitical tensions, and changes in energy prices can all push costs higher. Because modern economies are interconnected, events in one part of the world can quickly affect prices elsewhere. Energy plays a critical role in inflation because it affects nearly every part of the economy. Higher energy costs increase transportation expenses, production costs, and overall prices for goods and services. When energy prices rise, the effects spread quickly and broadly. Another powerful factor is expectations. If businesses and consumers expect prices to rise, they may adjust their behavior in ways that actually cause inflation to continue. Businesses may raise prices in anticipation, while consumers may spend more quickly, reinforcing the cycle. All of these factors combine to make inflation persistent. It is not caused by a single event, but by a system of interconnected forces. Once it becomes embedded in the economy, it can take years to fully stabilize. Looking ahead, inflation may slow down, but it is unlikely to disappear completely. Economic growth, policy decisions, and global conditions will continue to influence price levels. The challenge is not eliminating inflation, but managing it. So the next time prices go up, remember that inflation is not just a temporary problem. It is part of a larger system that shapes the economy over time. And understanding that system is the first step to understanding where things might go next.